Welcome to the Naked Relationship Podcast. I'm Adam. Yes, I am without Kelly because she's working, but we've got a very special treat for you. Brian from Front Porch Swingers. I'm interviewing him on his recent episode as well as a lot of other things. And so it's very interesting. We're excited for this. Now, with that being said, you can find us on social media at TNR Podcast. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also find us on our website, thenakedrelationship.com. Enjoy the interview. All right, guys, I've got Brian here from the Front Porch Swingers. How are you doing, Brian?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's I've been on your show twice now, so it's nice to be able to return the favor.
Well, I appreciate it.
So tell everyone who you are, where they can find you.
So I am Brian, one half, not the better half of Front Porch Swingers, the podcast, but yeah, that's me. One half of the Front Porch Swingers. Brenna is my better half.
What's your social media and where can they find your?
You can find us at mail, MAIL, at Front Porch Swingers. You can email us there. You can find us at FP Swingers on Twitter and Instagram. Pretty easy to find. We're on all the podcatchers, as you can imagine: iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify. We're all over.
Your last episode, well, going into your last episode, I already had some topics in mind that I wanted to interview you about
Okay.
and just kind of talk to you about. And then I listened to your last episode and I'm like, fuck, there's all the rest of my episode, my interview with Brian. Like it's just all right there. It's screaming at me to write these down and then ask you to come on the show. And so here we are.
Well, I'm glad I could help. I didn't do it with that in mind, but I'm glad it's absolutely helping you out.
I mean, you guys do a lot for us and other podcasters. Just, I don't think that we could really truly thank you enough. I mean, some of the stuff that we do is because of you guys. So thank
Well,
you.
we appreciate it. This is an interesting space that we're all in, right? I mean, there's plenty of space there for all of us, and I really think that there should be more of the, kind of the camaraderie that exists in other podcast spaces, and the assistance. There's not enough of it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's something that kind of just really correlates with my entire life because growing up, I always seem to never do anything on my own. There's always someone helping me, and I always believe that you're never too good for advice. I don't give a shit if you're, Bill goddamn Belichick.
Yeah,
I guarantee you he still gets advice from other people.
sure. He learned from somebody, just like everybody else,
The Harbaugh brothers. I mean, they still have their dad break down film,
right?
fuck Jim, go Hawks. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's just, you're never too fucking good for advice and
No.
help. So,
I've often
you know,
said that the person in the room who thinks he knows everything is usually the least intelligent person in the room.
oh yeah. I mean, for example, Tony Dungy, he won, a Super Bowl with the Steelers back in the
Mhm.
70s
Sure
as
did.
a bench warmer. And then he goes on and wins the Super Bowl as a coach. My point is like, even if you're like a nobody, like you can still do amazing things. And I guarantee you none of that was done on his own because
No,
it's a
he was
team sport.
he was paying a lot of attention from the bench.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's what people don't understand. You can spot things anyway, sorry, that's a little bit of a tangent on my
Hey, it's
part.
your show, man. Have at it.
Go Hawks. And earlier in your show, before your last episode, well before it, you had mentioned that you do the vetting,
I
and
do.
a good part of that is you put out these ads on your various platforms, and
Mhm.
you tell everybody what you're looking for. And I I understand that there's a lot of repetition with some of these fuckers that think they're just going to send you a hey, what's up, and get into Brenna's pants. It doesn't work like that. Because uh, you got to show some effort and show that you're not a piece of shit. But what I really want to dive into is how you really go about your vetting and how you really are able to do that successfully. Because with me and Kelly, we like two different completely types of men.
Right.
And so basically, like, if I don't like them, she might like them, but it's not always that easy.
Right.
I guess, let's just talk about a little bit about your vetting process for our
Okay.
listeners.
Sure. So to put this into perspective, I received an email response from an ad that's probably or a post, I should say, that's about 4 months old now, 5 months old. It was literally just a phone number, no verbiage at all, just a phone number, as if I was going to call this number and set up a date for my significant other without having any other information about this person. So that should give you some idea that kind of, the bullshit that I go through when it comes to vetting some of these guys, which is, why single guy tip of the week was born.
That segment actually inspired a few other segment ideas for us as well.
It started out tongue in cheek, but the truth is that the more correspondence we get from people, the more helpful for some reason it seems to be. But if you're listening, if you get a phone number as a response, don't call it. That's free advice.
I mean, I will if it's 8675309.
Right.
You
It's
know,
exactly. That's the only one you should call back.
I mean, Jenny is actually the name of my mother, so I might be calling my mother. You never know.
You never know. I wonder how many people called that number back in the day. I can only imagine. Looking for Jenny.
Yeah.
So when it comes to vetting, we're on a few different platforms for various reasons. We have a BDSM profile, obviously on a site, and a couple other places locally for the most part. And what happens is, when it comes to the single guys, particularly, I do most of that communication. Brenna does all the other digital communication. I deal with the single guys because, frankly, for her it gets to be overwhelming. So I deal with that. And the first course of action for me, honestly, is in that first response. It's like the first time you meet somebody, it's the first handshake, right? It's like a digital handshake. If there's not something cogent written in it, if you didn't respond, based on what I actually wrote, and it doesn't have there's no comparison there. If it's a one liner, hey, what's up, a phone number, those just get deleted instantly.
Mhm.
If I think based on your response that you've kind of read the post and you're following, the guidelines, so to speak, then I will reach out to you and thank you for doing so. Depending on what we're looking for, I will elaborate a little bit and see if that's something that the person is interested in pursuing. 9 times out of
Mhm.
10, regardless of what you say, they say yes, of course. And it's usually 3 or 4 messages in when you can really tell that this person is genuine. They're genuinely serious about wanting to meet. And that's the big thing, right? Everybody thinks this is a great idea. The single guys think, "Oh, I'm gonna meet this hot wife, and this is gonna be great. I'm gonna get laid. This is gonna be so easy." Then, of course, they find out around message 4 or 5 that they are going to meet with me. Now, a lot of times Brenna is present, but you are going to meet me, and that's when usually I say 8 times out of 10 the communication stop because they don't want to meet you, right? They
Yeah.
wanna meet her. They think it's just gonna be that easy. I'm just gonna meet this gal, have a drink, jump in the sack, and that's gonna be it. And for some folks, that's fine. I mean, if that's your thing, then shit, man, get after it. But, you know, for me, it's more of a security issue. You and I were just talking about it a little bit earlier before we started recording. This is the person, that means the most to me. I'm not about to turn her over to some fucking stranger I've never met with whom I've corresponded 3 or 4 times, digitally. To me, I can't wrap my head around that necessarily. So, yeah, you're going to have to meet me. We'll meet someplace casual. Maybe it's coffee, maybe it's a drink. You're going to sit across from me. You're going to shake my hand. You're going to speak to me and look me in the eye. We're going to have a normal conversation about life, what you do, the usual bullshit, and get comfortable with one another. And during that time, I can usually tell how interested in this person Brenna is. It's simply a look. She'll give me a look, and I'll know instantly that this is or is not going to go forward.
I'm sure that there's been a various variety of different interactions with these people that are
Hmm.
trying to get inside Brenna's pants once you actually sit them down for a drink or kofefe or however you go about it. Um, but like, what are like? I know you said you kind of talk about life and stuff, but what are some of the questions you get to? I mean, are any of them sexual in nature? Are they what's your salary, or what do you ask?
There's virtually no talk of sex at all during this initial conversation with me, for sure. What I'm trying to find out from this person is, are you local? How long you been here? What do you do? Not interested in what you make. I don't care about that. I just want to know that you can have a conversation with me about something other than fucking my significant other.
Right.
And it's also a comfort thing, right? You meet somebody, or you're out with a friend, you're having a drink, and you're just having a conversation. Maybe it's about the local sports team, or maybe for us, maybe it's a, have you been skiing lately kind of thing. Have you been camping? Have you been hunting? Have you been fishing? What are your favorite spots in town? What do you like to do when you're not sitting across from a guy trying to bang his wife. Just hobbies. You like live music, whatever the case may be. Because for us, it's also about the relationship. We're rarely is it kind of a one and done kind of thing with us. We really like to form relationships, even with the single guys that
Mhm.
Brenna plays with. We're still in contact with many of them, and of course, Brenna has a regular playmate that she's been seeing for a year and a half now. So
Right.
it's really just to get to know someone and to figure out whether or not, if this does happen, if it does go forward and she does actually play with this person, is this someone that we would want to see again on a vanilla basis? Would we want to be downtown one night and say, text them and say, hey, you're around, we're having a drink or we're having dinner, we're going to a show, what are you up to, kind of thing, which we do regularly or used to, before when the world was normal. And you just want to be able to have that kind of rapport with folks. If I don't
Yeah.
get the feeling that that's that kind of guy or he's that kind of guy, chances are it's not gonna go very far.
Do you ever meet with someone and you just completely just friend zone them, like vanilla as fuck,
Yeah.
wanna hang out with them?
Instantly, I can tell really within 30 seconds, I'll know if this is gonna be kind of a go or not for me. I just from my history dealing with people, I've just got an instinct about people. We did meet one guy one time, met him at one of our favorite places. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. He said he was downtown. We had just finished dinner. We moved over to the bar for an after dinner drink. We had him meet us. This is a guy I had been corresponding with for, a couple of weeks on and off, had a nice conversation. He seemed like a normal sort of guy. He shows up in probably the best restaurant in our town. Um, just wearing really kind of dingy clothing, ball cap on. It just wasn't, he didn't make the effort to kind of put himself together. He wouldn't look me in the eye. He sat kind of to my left and wouldn't engage me. He wouldn't look at Brenna in the eye. His head was kind of down the entire time. It was really very off-putting body language. And that's a guy that we're gonna pass and say thank you very much for meeting us and good luck to you.
It's almost like he was shitting his pants, you know? I mean,
Yeah, strange.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not by any means gonna, stick up for this fucker. But what I am saying is like, I don't know. I guess maybe if it was like my first time meeting, a couple as almost like an interview to have coital interactions with his wife, I probably would be a little bit nervous too, but I would still try to, you know, look you in your eye. I mean, maybe it's different for me because I educated myself before Kelly ever even blew someone else, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So, I mean, I listened to I don't know how many podcast episodes about swinging. I don't know how many different blogs and stuff like that I read.
Sure.
But I was educated, so I kind of knew, a little bit, a little smidgen about what to do and what not to do in terms of how to act and treat people. I think kind of for you, it's definitely a lot easier if these fuckers can show you that yes, I do want to have sex with your wife, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't, talk about other things. I can show you that she's not just a piece of meat to me.
Well, 2 things. First, what's funny is that this particular gentleman is actually a guy we met because he reached out to us as someone who actually hosts in our town local gangbangs. This is not a guy who's new to the scene. And we weren't interested in necessarily participating in that, or I should say Brenna wasn't, but we thought we would meet him at least because he showed interest in her. And so this is a guy who seemingly has got some aptitude, in the lifestyle, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you would think so anyway. But even more, to your point in terms of educating yourself or understanding how to engage with and speak to a hot wife couple or a lifestyle couple. I tell people all the time, just treat people like you would normally treat people. You're meeting someone for the first time. You walk in, you introduce yourself, you shake their hand, you look them in the eye, you have a smile on your face. Be prepared to have a conversation. I mean, it's no different from meeting anyone else, but it's almost like there's this kind of weird dichotomy, right? Like they get in front of people who potentially they may be playing with under, maybe some less than normal circumstances, and they just freeze up and they just can't perform.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up in on his regard. Then maybe it was his first time meeting, the husband. I don't fucking know.
I
That's
don't know.
fucking crazy to me. Like I can't. I don't know. Like I can't really fathom that honestly.
No, me either. I mean, it's always, I don't want to say it's like a job interview, but it kind of is. I mean, every time you meet somebody for the first time, right, you're being interviewed, you're being judged, whether we like it or not, everyone judges everybody, and you walk into a place, you're going to sit down at a really nice place and have a drink with a couple that potentially you're going to play with, the wife of that couple or the significant other of that couple. you come in looking, I mean, like you just, basically got off the job site and rolled on in and didn't shower, didn't shave. And, to make matters worse, you're not engaging, you're not conversant. It was really a very strange interaction. And that's the kind of person we're just, we're going to say thank you, appreciate you coming, and just pass on.
That's really what you have to do in that situation, and I mean,
Yeah.
fuck, I mean, that's red flags out the ass already.
And then, you talk about a lack of awareness. I don't know, maybe a week after that, he reached out to us again asking if we wanted to meet him for a drink again. Like, I thought we made it clear, this is really not for us. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, no awareness on
Nope.
that one, I guess.
Nope.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. That's fucked up. But how do you know what Brenna wants? Because again, I struggle with trying to figure out what
Do you
Kelly wants
really?
because yeah, oh god, yeah. It's like
Does she like a lot of different types of guys? Is she kinda like, depends on what day it is, how tall he is or how short he is, and, she just doesn't she has kind of a different taste every day kinda thing?
it really is by the different date. And I say that because, for probably the first year and a half of our relationship, she was not into African American gentlemen.
Okay.
Now she is. She wasn't into Latino, even though she's
Right.
a Latina, you know? But one of her most recent play partners, who's a great guy, we just got off on the wrong foot, him and I, due to various reasons we've talked
Right.
about on the show. He's a
Hmm.
Latino, so whether it's this guy has a beard,
Right.
I do know that she's not into, skinny guys. She loves dad bods, which is why I think we're the perfect fit. Um,
Well, now
you
you just
know,
gotta be a dad, and you'll be right there.
man, I got the dad jokes up the ass. I got,
You're gearing up.
oh god, yeah. I mean, fuck. I'm the only thing I don't have on is my Pete Carrolls,
For
the
sure.
white New
You could
Balance
pick a pair of
shoes.
those up, no problem.
I don't know. A couple years back, we were at a shoe store and I was shit talking New Balance like a motherfucker. And then I look to my left and there's a pair they look nice. They're
Right.
Seahawks colors. No white anything on them. They're just, they're like a wolf gray with a navy blue and a neon action green. I'm like, fuck, I'm leaving with those. And they're in our shoe closet right now.
How
I shit
funny.
you not.
And I'm sure they're therapeutic as well, so
Yeah, a little bit. They're very comfortable. Let's put it that way. I got a wide fat foot. No fucking clue why. Thanks, dad, mom, whoever. But anyway, no, I have no fucking clue what she
it's
wants. I
interesting.
mean, she did try to have sex with a skinny guy, and since we've been together, and she still doesn't like skinny guys, but yet here she is, like she finds this one
Mhm.
attractive, or even like muscular men. She's not into overly muscular men like DK
Right.
Metcalf, even though she wants to sit on his
That's
fucking
interesting.
face. Like, yeah, like I don't get it. I really just don't understand it. I mean, it's like going down on her. She wants something different every
Well, that's a
second.
woman's prerogative, I suppose. She can change her mind as often as she likes.
Absolutely. And by all fucking
Sure.
means do it. But don't expect me to be able to find you the perfect
Yeah,
woman.
listen, I mean, it sounds like you need a crystal ball sometimes. For me, there are some core, um, characteristics that I know that Brenna likes. Well, for example, if she leaves me for anyone, it's going to be Kevin Love. That's like her perfect human being.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's her perfect human being. So she loves tall guys. She does actually like skinny guys. I am not necessarily her type. In fact, I'm the only guy that she's ever dated or anything and had any kind of relationship with that is like myself. I'm 6'1". I weigh 200 pounds. I'm far more muscular, bigger than most guys that she's been with. She likes skinny guys. However, it depends on the day. Sometimes it's a character thing, right? I mean, personality is a big deal. She's played with guys that aren't necessarily her type physically or would normally be, but just really enjoyed them as as a person and got more attracted to them. You know, Fortunately for me, she does like older guys, or I'd be in trouble. However, she has played with a 26-year-old, porn actor, so that worked out very well, also. So yeah, much like Kelly, Brenda's taste it varies to some degree, but the key really is be a gentleman, be articulate, be hygienic, be funny. She loves guys that make her laugh. Be complimentary. You pay Brenna a compliment, and she's putty in your hands. Um, I mean, there's just some core values that she really looks for, and she's very much wants a take charge person. She wants someone who is an alpha, the apex guy. She doesn't really do well with guys who are going to want her to make all the first moves and kind of direct the action. She really needs someone to take charge.
Sure. That's understandable. I think with Kelly though, it's just kind of like because me and her are both big on personalities, which we'll get into a little bit later. But for me, I'm more like you could be like a 2 in terms of physical appearance, but if you have the personality,
Right.
by all means, like, I'm ready, let's go,
Yeah,
but, and if you're like a 10 physically, then and you have a shit personality, I'm not even gonna, like, even try,
sure.
it's just a waste of our time,
Yeah, exactly. The
but
personality is everything. We have engaged with folks that we found very attractive, but frankly didn't enjoy their company and passed on playing with them. And you know, just the opposite. We have met people that we thought, well, we're not really sure if they're necessarily our physical type, but ended up being, having a great time with them because we really enjoyed their company and they were great fun. We just talked
yeah.
about some of our friends, our friends that we just played with, just coming out of all this hibernation. They're very good friends of ours. They've become really good friends, and Jessica and Roger, and Jessica is my height. She's 6'1", flat footed, barefoot.
Wow.
Yeah, and she is, I mean, she's statuesque, man. I mean, she's got an amazing body, but I'm not, I don't typically go after women who are my height. I
Sure.
kinda have a type, they're short with big butts. That's usually my thing. Um,
Cannot lie.
no, absolutely not, but she's such an amazing person, and, I mean, she's sexy as hell, so that doesn't hurt, but, we just have a great time with them, and I enjoy being with her.
Kind of transitioning into more of the content from this previous episode 89, I believe it was. You're
Yeah.
getting really close to a big milestone, number 100.
Yep.
So in about 3 months, you'll probably hit that. Congrats.
Thank you.
And be the first one, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that's a big fucking milestone. But one thing I really want to talk about is because the majority of the content from your episode after you did the single male tip of the week
Mhm.
was about polyamory. And even the episode was titled I believe it was "Are We Polyamory?" or "Could We Be Polyamory?"
Right.
And so that kind of got me thinking because Kelly and I have, I mean, one of her biggest books that she's reading off and on here over the last year has been The Ethical Slut,
Yeah.
I believe it's called.
Yeah, Brenna's read it also. She enjoyed it.
I believe it's mostly about polyamory, or maybe it was another book that she read that was specifically about polyamory, but it helped her open her eyes, although we don't personally feel like we could handle seeing each other be in love with other people,
Right.
but we just don't think that we're there yet. But you guys are kind of, as Brenna put it, you're flirting with that line of polyamory.
Yeah, this whole thing came up, this whole conversation started because of something, a friend of ours said to me who is a lifestyle guy.
Okay.
He asked me because he is a person who immersed in the lifestyle, has been for the better part of, 20 years, is a professional in the business as well, very, very successful. And he had a conversation with someone who was, uh, let's just say, very influential in the world of polyamory. And
Hmm.
he asked me, based on a conversation that he had with this gal, what I thought, where I thought Brenna and I fell. And based on some of the things that she said to him, it was kind of hard to define, are we poly or are we not? And one of the things you brought up, as we mentioned on the show, or maybe I mentioned it, the fact that Brenna has had a regular playmate, Clint, for over a year and a half now, or right at a year and a half. Um, that in this woman's interpretation, based on what my friend had said, was that she considers that to be a poly type relationship. The question was, do you correspond, or does Brenna correspond with him regularly about, vanilla things, or is it always sexual in nature? Do you interact with him, on a vanilla level? Do you have dinner? Do you have drinks? Do you see him at events? Do you attend events together? All those things. The answer to all those questions is yes. And he even spent Brenda's birthday with us, as I mentioned. He came he met us out of town at one of our favorite hot spring spots, and he spent the evening with us. That's a big deal. And so and he is a poly guy. He has a girlfriend. He's had a number of poly relationships. Clint has, and so can we say emphatically that we're not poly? I really don't know. I guess it depends on your particular definition or interpretation of it.
I think for us, because one of the biggest thing for us, other than sex, that we look for is friendship
Yes.
within with a play partner. And if that's not there, then I mean, it's really like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I can totally empathize with Brenna, being able to, because like you said, Brenna and Clint, they tell each other about each other's days,
Yeah.
and the gentleman named Dakota, who is the male half of the couple that we are just essentially just becoming best friends with. He was over last night and we were talking about the same thing. And, it's like without that friendship, it's just not there for us.
Sure, sure. Listen, our friend Hannah, the single gal that we have, been friends with now for, I mean, like I said, I think it's been 8 or 9 months. She texted me today just to say hello. Now that's not
Sure.
unusual. She'll text me often, or I'll text her about something, or she'll see something or hear something that'll remind her of us or me, and she'll text me throughout the week. But I was in a meeting. I got a text message. I didn't check my phone right away. I got out of the meeting, got back into my car, and sure enough, it was Hannah. And
Mm.
so I don't know. Does a few text messages, poly make? I don't know, but certainly,
Yeah.
I have to think it's on the borderline, right? It's kind of walking a fine line.
It definitely does, but at the same time, like, I'm not a poly expert, but, Kelly and Dakota, they text all day long, and the majority of the time, it's not even about sex.
Right, right.
Which is amazing. It's like it's awesome.
Yeah,
And then Melissa and I mean, shit, we text every day as well, but almost never about sex. I might
right,
Snapchat her a limp dick pic because she and Kelly both love that for some reason. But that's a fucking rarity now,
right.
and our friendship is getting stronger, but it's been a little bit more difficult because I've been a little bit more like under the weather emotionally because
Sure,
I'm fucking employed.
right.
But it's still there, and they're great friends, and they're coming over this weekend for a picnic, maybe a play date, probably not, but who
Yeah,
the fuck knows? Are
yeah,
we open to it? Abso-goddamn-lutely.
sure. Yeah.
But
So
at
yeah,
the end of the day, if it doesn't happen, there's no pressure.
absolutely. We said it on the one of the our recent shows when we actually did play with our friends Roger and Jessica. We have spent as much vanilla time with them as we have playtime, and
Mm.
we spent some important times with them. Their anniversary, New Year's Eve, and didn't play at all. It was just four friends out to dinner and drinks and just enjoying each other's company. Now, does that make us poly as a couple? Probably not. We're just friends. But when you're talking about the situation with Brenna and her regular playmate or our friend Hannah, you almost got to think, man, is it? I think it's disingenuous for us to say, well, we would never be poly. I don't think we could say that.
I guess right now, because in this past episode, episode 89, if you haven't listened to it yet, you fuckers go listen to it. It's an amazing episode. And it really challenges your line of thinking in a lot of issues. And what, like, you and Brenna were kind of doing a lot of scenario play,
Hmm.
um, and putting each other in scenarios and saying, hey, would you be comfortable with this?
Right.
How would this look? Stuff like that. And so that got me thinking in terms of polyamory, falling in love with another person and welcoming them into your relationship. I know you talked about potentially finding a younger gentleman
Hmm.
for when you are, you know, no longer with us.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of maybe just button this question up into two, or there's two questions into one. But how far is too far with poly at your current state? And then also, being emotionally attached with play partners. I mean, I'm sure that that's got to put in some boundaries, but at the same time, like you even were able to bring up, like Brenna kind of is, like if Clint were to fall off the face of the earth and never talk to her again, or even just say, hey, I don't want to have sex with you anymore, she would feel upset about that, and rightfully, understandably so.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Well, to begin with, I think that to say there you could play with someone for a year and a half and not have any emotional attachment would be difficult. Clearly, there's not Clint is not a love interest, but she would be genuinely upset if their relationship were to end, for whatever reason, whether amicably or not, and that's understandable. I mean, I think that's a risk you take, when you get into a situation like we're in, right? You're in an ethically non-monogamous relationship. You are an open couple. The partners have playmates, long-term playmates in this case. I think that's just to be expected. In terms of what is too much, the truth is, Adam, I don't know because we haven't reached it. And for me, it's not easy for me to get emotionally attached. I find it very difficult to believe for myself personally that I would get attached to someone that way. I found the person that's most important to me, so I'm not in that space honestly. But Bren and I are different. She's an emotional creature, and she's very sensitive, and I could easily see her being hurt by something like that, and potentially feeling some level of feelings for someone over the course of time. I have no doubt about that.
Well, I think, even talking to someone for 2 weeks, maybe every day or every other day, is enough to gain some small form of an emotional attachment, you know?
Right. Well, there's
Which
degrees, right?
is
There's levels. I think there's levels
yeah,
to everything, and there's certainly levels to this game. You know, how
exactly.
how long you've been in communication with someone or how long you've been, let's call it intimate with someone is certainly going to be, it directly the amount of feelings or emotion that you have for that person will be directly reflective of that level of time, certainly, and the type of time that you've spent. So, yeah, I mean, there's levels to it, no doubt.
It's very difficult to kind of distinguish what is too far because, again, even being emotional creatures, like I'm very emotional.
Mhm.
Kelly is learning to kind of get in touch with her emotional self.
Right.
But like for me, it's very easy because I get so much rejection, especially on like Bumble and these other apps. It's like, it doesn't help that I don't have any game.
I find it hard to believe.
You were talking about getting messages like, "Hey, what's up?" That was actually my first fucking message to Kelly on OkCupid. So I would be a goddamn fucking hypocrite if I said, that that was a bad thing. I mean, but it is though. It
Well,
really
you've
is
learned
because
you've come a long way since then, man.
well, the other thing is like even on like Bumble or other dating apps, I read their fucking profiles and then like I'll try to send them a message like saying something about their profile that I read or how I can relate to this or that or what the fuck ever. And 9 times out of 10, I get no response
It's interesting.
regardless of what I say. I think it's my face. Who knows?
Nah, certainly not. Brenda thinks you're adorable.
Wait till she sees my dad bod. No, kidding.
Well, listen, we talked you just mentioned it, right? So let's touch on that for a second. I make no bones about it. I'm 20 years older than, my significant other. And I
Mhm.
was very serious. The one thing you gotta know about our show, well, you already know this. There's no like we don't prepare. We don't do show notes. We don't do any of that stuff. We're not prepared that way. We get on and
Okay.
we have a topic and we just start talking to each other. It's just a conversation. And so when I said to Brenda that question I asked her about, how would you feel if Hannah and Clint got together and that kind of thing, the look on her face told me everything I needed to know. I knew the answer before I asked it. And I knew that she would kind of be like, "Oh no, he belongs to me," kind of thing, not from a
Yeah, yeah.
not from a jealous perspective, but like, it's a gut check moment kind of feeling. So with all that being said, as I told her on the show, listen, I'm going to be, when I'm 70, you're going to be my age now. We got to start looking for somebody who can, spend some time with you when I'm, at that age, because, who the hell knows what happens to me at 70, 75, you know? And
Sure.
I
Yeah.
certainly don't want her to be missing out or, feel like she's missed out on anything or, I don't want to begrudge her of anything. So I was very serious about it. I think it's something that, not today necessarily, because fortunately I'm quite healthy, but it's something we've got to start thinking about at some point. And what does that look like to us? I think that's really, as I mentioned, the time that we're going to spend traveling this upcoming year. I really think we're going to start to kind of, water seeks its own level, right? We'll start to find that level. I think when we're in the midst of all of that.
I mean, like for us, like I referred to Melissa last night, as my girlfriend that I'm not trying to fall in love with. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and Kelly, that was the first time she heard it, but I told her and Dakota, and they knew exactly what the fuck I meant.
Sure.
And I feel like maybe that is what you guys and we are looking for.
Hmm.
We're looking for that for those girlfriend boyfriend scenarios where we're not going to fall in love with them,
Right.
but we're
Right.
going to be best friends and we're going to have amazing benefits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. After the episode aired and we were together. I think we were out on our way to meet some friends just the other day, going to meet them for dinner. And we had a conversation in the car and we were still talking about this, after, a couple of days after we recorded the show. And something Brenna said made a lot of sense because the truth is we're very much in love and I cannot foresee a third person coming in and not feeling like a third wheel to some degree. And we never want anyone to feel that way. And what Brenna said was, the best scenario for us in terms of finding that third person, whether it's a male or a female, mind you, I don't really know what direction that goes, to be honest with you. As I said, I want to find someone for her, down the road anyway. But whether it's a male or a female that we get involved with in a polyamorous, a legitimate polyamorous type situation, we feel or she feels that that person also needs to have a significant other, also has to have a primary. Like we shouldn't be someone's
Sure.
primary. you know,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense because the truth of the matter is she's always going to be my primary and I'm always going to be hers. So we just don't want someone to feel like a secondary person because that's just not who we are. But I think we think it's
Right.
important that that person have a primary in their life, and that would probably be the best possible scenario.
Well, you guys are kind of, you guys are setting yourselves up to, to be Clint-less, if you will, in terms of you're going on the road for a year or so.
Yeah, yeah,
You're kind of putting yourself in like we kind of want to figure this out, but at the same time, we're going on the road for a year.
yes, we are.
So what do you kind of, I know you are probably looking for where you want to settle down, but what else are you hoping to see? What are you planning to do? Uh, you know?
Well, this is a plan that's been in the making now for almost 2 years. So aside of all the boring logistical, bullshit and that you have to deal with, for us getting on the road is really going to be, I think it's really going to be an awakening, particularly for Brenna. Again, I am 20 years her senior, and I've traveled all over. And Brenna has
But
lived
she's never left the state, right?
She's never lived anywhere but Montana. So she has traveled, for work and that kind of thing, but never spent any significant time anywhere. I've been to all 50 states. I think the only state I didn't spend any time in at all was New Hampshire. But, for my former profession, I traveled a lot. And I actually traveled on the road a lot. I was the one person that would do the tour, basically, is what we used to call it. And I would go from place to place to place on the road. And at one point, toward the end of my career with my former company, I actually, instead of staying at hotels and Airbnbs and all that stuff, I traveled with my trailer, my camper, and I loved it. I did that for the better part of a year. And I knew that I had to do that again. That was even back then, I knew that was something I needed to do.
See,
And
that's interesting because I really, really want to get into fucking van life,
yeah, yeah.
but we have a dog and two fucking cats.
That's a
So
very different you're talking about that's a incredible sacrifice. I know some folks that do that, and
Mhm.
I envy them for it, and have a great deal of respect for how and what they do in terms of that, but that is a
Sure.
very you're talking about a very specific mindset, man. It's
Yep.
yeah, that would be a tough gig. You guys I mean, it would be great for you guys to be if I were your age and knew what I know now, I probably would be doing that. But it was, that's a very different way of life, and I don't and frankly, I don't know that I could do it. Not at this point in my life. So, but it's not that different. I mean, we are going to literally be traveling. We're going to sell our home, and we'll be going around the country, touring. Fortunately, our new partnership with Alt Playground has assisted us in doing that. We have a lot of different things planned, and we'll be going to different events and hosting different events and
Mhm.
taking part in all the things that are lifestyle, aligned, provided the world gets back on its axis.
Sure.
But that's going to be a big part of it. The lifestyle is why we're doing it. We feel like it's going
Mhm.
to really change things for us in terms of the podcast. It's going to give us an opportunity to do and see and talk about things that a lot of folks won't really be able to experience based on how we're doing it, which for us is really the interesting part. What we're going to encounter.
I think that, you might also be able to see some, like different like different parts of the country might do swinging and events differently,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
maybe in different mannerisms. But who knows, man? I'm excited for you guys. I'm pretty jealous that you guys are able to do that. So I'll be living vicariously through you listening to your episodes. So
Yeah, that's the plan.
um,
We want everyone to be able to do that, and obviously we want to really communicate, and get in person with some of the people that have been supporting us this entire time. We have made some amazing friends throughout this entire journey, and we want to be able to spend some time with them and really kind of get to know them, on a personal level and visit with them, and some amazing people out there, and so many people reach out and oh hey, we're here and or we live there and come stay with us and please stop by when you come through and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to do our level best to try to do that.
well, you guys know about where we are, so please
Yes.
come through. Check out our cribs on MTV.
Yeah.
No, but no, in all seriousness, we do hope you guys come through.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, that'd be fucking awesome. We've only communicated via phone and Skype before, so it'd be interesting to shake your hand, look you in the eye. But anyway, that That's fucking awesome,
Yeah.
man. Where so speaking of these episodes,
Mhm.
where can everybody go to subscribe to you so they can hear these episodes when they come out?
We host on Podbean. You could certainly find us there and subscribe there. You'll get all the good information right away. As soon as an episode comes out, you'll be notified instantly. And again, you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're everywhere.
And your website is frontporchswingers.com.
That is correct. Yep. You can email us at mail, at Front Porch Swingers.
And you also have an educational course, I believe, right? Is Sex on Your Terms.
Yeah, there's a lot happening there. We haven't really done much with it other than with our current clients, but there will be some changes there as well. Both Brenna and myself, we've continued to continue our education in the space of sexual education and relationship education. We've been working on that for some time now. Brenna will be finished with her curriculum very shortly, actually, and then I will be not too far behind her. So we will be making some updates there as well coming soon, doing some seminars and conferences and all that good stuff.
Man, you guys got a lot going on,
Yeah.
especially with Alt Playground. Shout out to them, and also Sex on Your Terms and all this fun stuff you guys got going on, especially hitting the road. Fucking jealous, man.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But thanks for coming on the show, man. I fucking appreciate it. You know that.
Anytime.
And well, same time tomorrow.
Sure, absolutely. I appreciate the time very much. I enjoy talking to you as always. You know, I'm your biggest fan. So anytime I can help, I'm happy to do so.
You guys help in so many ways. I don't even know that I could write them all down. So thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy.
So thank you to Brian for coming out and being on essentially a solo chat episode with me. This was a lot of fun. I look up to them in the lifestyle and podcasting. They've done a lot for the podcast community as well as the swinger community. They are essentially my favorite lifestyle podcast. It means a lot that Brian would come on our show, and hopefully we can get Brian and Brenna both together for an episode with Kelly and I. Now, with that being said, thank you again, Brian, so much. So in closing, you can find our social media at TNR Podcasts. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also find our website, thenakedrelationship.com. We've got a blog on there where you can see some cleavage, if you will, of Kelly. Thankfully, not of me. You don't want to see a hairy moob, if you will, man boob of mine. And so we've got some more stuff coming on the website. Kelly still has to finish her blog, which you guys know by now is a thing. Check it out. You can email us on there. You can also email us at questions@thenakedrelationship.com. We'll do our best to answer that. You can reach out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll do our best to get to you. And so, yeah, this is an exciting episode, guys, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. So thank you so much.